Okay, so hi everyone. This is a audio check if I am audible to you guys.
So yeah, Vishal, you're audible, and the mics of the participants are muted by me. I'll be
Okay, okay,
unmuting them during the Q&A session at the end.
okay, sure. So can we start now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So hi everyone. Welcome to my talk. The topic is a layer of anonymity. So in this topic, we will be discovering multiple layers of anonymity. So let's first talk about myself. Who am I? So I'm Vishal. Hello everyone. I'm a researcher, pen tester, and security professional, enthusiastic, and anonymity lover, and at last CTF lover. I'm also a CTF player. Okay. So let's jump directly to the topic, which is so let's discuss about what we'll be covering in this talk. So I've divided this talk in the four main topic, or you can say it like four layers. First one is VPN, and second is Tor, third one is UNIX, and at last it's Tails and Kubers. Okay, so we start with the VPN. Okay, okay. So first, what is VPN? VPN stands for the Virtual Private Network. Normally, most of the you guys also using the VPN in your daily life, day-to-day life. But it's not the same VPN what I was going to talk about. Okay. So VPN is like if you are, it is like a first line of defense. If you are talking like some ad blockers or some ad tracker sites or some malicious site, which is sharing the normal malware or virus shit. You guys will be safe from these by using VPNs. Okay. So there are many VPNs, softwares, protocol, different types of VPNs. There are available. So first, we will discuss about working of the VPN. So in single line, the working of the VPN is to that they will be changing our public IP address. Okay. So there are some other VPNs which will be changing our DNS and some our fingerprinting. But there are most of them will be changing our public IP address only. Okay. So no, the normal tracker or the normal behavior of the user is tracked by the IP address. Okay. If we talked about the normal websites and other shit. So the VPN works like we install some client software in the VPN, and it will connect to the VPN server, and after that all our traffic will be redirected to the VPN server, and after we reaching VPN server, it will simply direct to the ISP or the normal internet or where the internet exists. So if the any third parties or the any services will try to basically reach us or trying to track us, it will simply get the IP address of the VPN server. Okay, so only the VPN server knows who we are and where we are. So if they are doing some illegal stuff or some normal level of tracking, they will be stopped by there. Only the VPN server. Okay, but if there are some like a government issue or some mid level of tracking will happen, they will simply just go to the VPN provider and simply ask them that this is the public IP address and this is the particular time that we receive your request from your server, and they will simply just give your public IP address to them. Okay. So if you are using some free VPN, so they will do that, or if you are using some paid VPN, or if they are providing some log clearation or some no log rules, they will simply say that we don't collect logs, and we don't know that who is connected to our VPN server on that particular of time. So let's talk about what types of VPN are available in market. Yeah. So I've divided those VPN in three layers. First one is free, second one is paid, and third one is like open source. Open source, you guys can configure it by yourself. You can select your own authentication or encryption level what you want. But in the free and the paid, you guys not be free to select your authentication or like protocol or the encryption level you want. So in free, there are like two VPN. First one is Tunnel Bear, and the second one is like UFO VPN. Tunnel Bear is not like free. You have to do it for every 1 GB, but it's like worth it for every 1 GB for tweet. So if you want to use a fully free VPN, you can go to the UFO VPN, but it's not that trustworthy. But it's still the normal tracker on the internet or the normal malware and other stuff. It will be provided protection for you guys. Yeah. And the paid we have the Proton VPN, which is most famous, and the other is Express VPN. So what is Proton VPN? Proton VPN is a company which provide a Proton mail service and which is pretty famous around among us, and it is based on Switzerland. Yeah. So what basically happened in the Switzerland if any other company or simply just government will reach to the Switzerland for some logs and other, they will simply just say that we don't create logs or we don't store logs or we don't share our logs to other government or other services. So that's why the Proton VPN is famous, but it's paid, but it's not that high amount. It's easily reliable amount. Yeah. Yeah, but it's definitely worth it, guys. And the other one is like Express VPN. Express VPN is like also the paid, but it's don't guarantee that they will simply deny to the ISP or some any other tracker that we don't have logs, and it's not that guarantee that they will not give your public IP address to anyone who is will be there. Yeah. And at last we have open source. So why we need open source VPN when we have the free and some paid VPN server, and when we have the Proton, this is the best VPN. So why we need the open VPN, why we need the open source VPN? Open source VPN is like if you are doing some other activity or like some your personal activity which you don't want to like tell to anybody or anybody else that what you are doing or when you are doing or how you are doing, so you can simply create your open VPN server or like open VPN client by using your laptop or the home router stuff. So if you are guys this much knowledgeable about networking and some technology knowledge, so you can simply just create the open VPN, or you can use the ether VPN, which is also the open source. It's like same to the open VPN, but it's not that famous like open VPN. So it is not that easy to set up the open VPN connection or open VPN server for you. But if you like contact some cloud source, cloud cloud service provider, they guys offer you the open VPN server for you. If you want, they will set up it for you, and it will simply run on your permission, like what encryption level or what protocol you want to use in your encryption level. Yeah. So in the slides, I mainly just divided our topic in like 4 slides. Okay, 4 layers, and we have like 4 type of practical. So it's time for first practical, but before that, we'll have to talk about like proxies. Yeah, most of the people will gonna be say about like we have proxies. If you want to do some private works or some other works which you don't want to share with others, so you can use proxies. Yes, we definitely can use the proxies, but proxy is like a one-to-one thing. It's not like you can set up a proxy and it will be simply just serving to the thousands or 10,000 users. It can serve to 1,000 and 10,000 people, but there are some tracking level problem over there. Yeah, if you basically if you want to do something on exact time or on exact location, you can simply create a proxy for it. Like if you have to do that work on a monthly basis or on the weekly basis, but if you have to do the work on the daily basis or the like every 6 hours, so you don't have this much time to configure a proxy and its location and its connectivity. So it's better option to go with the VPN. For that, it will cost you less amount, but it will be saving your time and efforts or the workload from you. Yeah, so it's definitely worth the VPN. But if you have some special circumstance like you have to use only once, and you will be never gonna be use that again. So in that case you can use a proxy. So there are paid proxies also which you can use for that kind of work if you want to. So it's like on generally it's come with the VPN, same VPN prices. But if you compare VPN and proxies for like only the weekly basis, and the VPN is for like a month or like 3 months, so it's better to use the VPN. VPN has the single advantage, that is like crowdsourcing. Yeah, if you are using proxy, then you are the one who is connecting. So they will be know that there will be like few guys, 1 to 10, which is connected to the proxy at that particular moment. But in the VPN, they will not be aware about like how many devices are connected to this specific VPN on this specific time. Okay. So if you want to like be in crowd and do something, so VPN is best for you guys. Okay. So little demo here. So in demo, this is not like some technical demo. You can install your tunnel bear or any other VPN in the Windows by using just next module. And for activation process, you can visit their sites, and for some keys, and you can find some keys on the paste bin. It's not that hard to find some activation key for your VPNs. And for open VPN, it's like I will recommend you guys start with your service provider, cloud service provider. So it can simply create a open VPN for you, and you don't have to like you don't have to do some much effort for you. It will simply simplify your task and just save your time. Okay. So I'll show you the some websites of the VPN service provider, so you can go with that. Okay, so there are some other factors that depends on the what country you are using VPN service, and what region or the what zone you are accessing from. So Tunnel Bear is like from the US soil. So if you don't trust the US or the Trump, you definitely don't want to use that. Yeah. So it is the website of the Tunnel Bear. It's you can download it from there. It's like free, not that much of amount. Okay, so you can simply just Google any other software on the Google or any other search engine if you want, and it will simply come up their homepage, and you can simply download. It's no data. Let's talk about if you want to use the VPN on your virtual machine, or like in other VMs. So there is like setting in the VMs. You can change your network adapter. Yeah, by default, your network adapter is running on the net. Let me show you. Okay. So like if I want, if I run my tunnel bear on the Windows, and I want to use that tunnel bear on my Linux machine or any other virtual machine, I'll simply just have to edit the network adapter on the settings, and there's like network, and from there I can simply change my network adapter to bridge adapter. After changing my adapter to bridge, it will simply use the existed connection on the host. So whether your host is using the proxy or the Tor or the VPN, any other stuff, it will simply share the connection with the virtual machine. So you don't have to worry about any other configuration. Well, there are some VPNs that are supported in the Linux machine, but the famous one like the Tunnelbear and the other, they are not supported in the VM or the Linux operating system. So if you want to use them in the Linux operating system, this is the trick for you guys. You can simply perform that and achieve your VPN in your Linux machine or any other VM machines. Let's move on this. Yeah, this is like our second line of defense, which is Tor. Tor is like the onion router. It was developed by American or American Navy in the late 90s or the early 20s. So it's not only the thing like the deep web, dark web, only thing. It also hide your profile, or it also helps you to bounce your IP. Generally, in movies, guys have seen like. Someone is saying like a attacker is bouncing their IP address from location A to location B, or from North Pole to South Pole or any other location. You can achieve that process by using some proxy chain or using some other proxy, set up in your own proxies, but it will cost you like time and the amount and the work effort. Okay, so if you don't have these three things, you can simply use the Tor. Tor is like it uses the node engineering. So if you are using a system A and you want to go to site like google.com, okay, so google.com is listed on the service net, so it will simply use the three nodes in the Tor network, and after the third node it will simply put your request onto the service web, and it will go to the google.com, and you will get the reply from the google.com on the Tor node. So the Google will never know that who that user is really in the real life. So this is the basic scenario of the Tor. But if you are visiting some onion or some website that exists on the Tor network, so the concept behind it will change. So you guys heard that there are three nodes before connecting to the server, but it's not. It's wrong. There are six nodes before connecting to the actual sites on the Tor. Three of them is based on the client side, and three of them are based on the server side. So the same concept we are using to anonymize ourselves on the client side, which is also the same concept for the server side. This is also the same, the three node concept for the server. So it can also remain the anonymous like the user. So there we will be needing a control center, which is secure by the Tor or the Tor member community. It's like some hidden in somewhere else, location is unknown and the address is unknown. Only if you crack the encryption of the Tor, you will be get to know about where is the command and control center of the Tor is located. Yeah. So we are not going to access some deep and dark web from the Tor. We have to achieve some anonymity by using Tor. So how the Tor is going to help us to achieve our second level of anonymity, second layer of anonymity. So let's discuss about how we are going to use it in our talk. So first thing is like VPN. In VPN, you guys have not that freedom to, if you want, if you are using VPN in Windows. So simply just all your system traffic will forward to your VPN server, and after that to the internet. So if you want to configure the VPN or the any other service to a specific application, so the only the VLC will go through the VPN server or the Tor, and the other application simply just move to the directly to the surface web. So you can also configure that on by using OpenVPN, and the other option is like Tor. So if you are using Kali Linux, it's simple, like super simple. You simply need to create you simply need to start the Tor service, and just enter the Tor extension after your command, and it will be simply forwarding your request to the Tor nodes, and after that to the service net. So you will be untrackable while attacking or the scanning process you are doing. But on the second level, we will be configuring Tor on the operating system level, like VPN. Every single traffic on the host will be going through the Tor network, whether it's from Windows update, Linux update, or the any other third party service you have installed in your system. Every single traffic will move to through the Tor network. So if you are achieving some anonymity, so you don't want your default traffic of your operating system want to go to Tor, so they can identify using those traffic and monitor you, or it will be help in track backing your location. Okay, so we'll be discuss about this later when we will be covering some real life scenario. What are the key points that some police and spats use to track you on tours? We'll be covering those on the later slides. So the third is configuring Tor on LAN on LAN level. LAN is basically if you want your all operating system or the all host or all your device connected to the LAN network want use the same Tor circuit that your operating system using or that your specific software is using. So you can definitely do that, but for that you need to install some UNIX kind of software, or you need to set up your UNIX. So we will simply cover this Sonics on the next layer, on the third layer of our anonymity. First, let's simply configure the second step, which is the configuring Tor on operating system level. So yeah, let's move on to the demo. I will be using VMware. You also use the VirtualBox, which is open source. There's no problem with that. So I have latest version of the Kali Linux, which is 2020.1. You can use any other Linux or any other operating system. Okay. So there is a multiple kind of script on the GitHub which can help you to achieve the system level of anonymity by using Tor. I will be covering one of them, which is Announcer. So it is available on the GitHub. You can simply git clone or download a zip and then unzip it. It's like simple, not this much heavy task you need to, or some repo you need to. It will simply download it by itself. So here it's uses. After installing, you just need to press type announcer, and if you want to start or stop or restart, you just simply say announcer and start, and it will create a Tor level of anonymity on your system level. So let's first copy the URL. Okay. So first, like check our public IP address, which is not my public IP address. Okay. So this is my public IP address currently. Without, I'm not using the Tor right now. Let me show you this. Two. So its ISP is like Excitel, and it's based in somewhere in North India. Okay. So let's configure our announcer. To download announcer, you need to git clone and simply paste the announcer URL. And it's saying that announcer, I have already downloaded the announcer. Okay. So after downloading that, you need to go to their directory, which is announcer. I think it's Kali announcer. It's Kali announcer. Okay. So in their folder, there is a script called installer.sh, which you need to run. So before running, we have to specify the permission of the execution. So for specifying permission, giving permission to execute, we need to type chmod and plus x, and then installer.sh. Plus means we are adding a permission, and x means we are giving them a executable permission on the current user. Okay. So after that, you can simply run the dot installer command. We're using slash or the bash. It will simply run, but it will be run on the root access. Okay, if your account don't have the root access, you will be unable to run it. If you want to run the announcer or stop the announcer, you have to get the root access of your Kali machine or any other machine. So for that, I will be using sudo and apero. Okay, Kali. So after that, it will simply install the requirement for the announcer, and if and there is a one more step which you need to run before that process. It's like you need a Tor service in your virtual machine. So if you don't have the Tor server service in your machine, you can simply type first to check. First we have to check like if we have Tor or not. Then like service sudo service status all. It will simply tell about what services we have in our operating system and what service are started and what service are stopped. Minus means if the service is stopped, and plus means the service is on, and the question marks means I don't know about the service whether it's on or not. So like there is like a not or. So yeah, so I have already installed the Tor and it's currently not active. Okay, so if you don't have the Tor, there is like simple command for that. It is sudo apt install Tor, and it will simply install your Tor in your operating system. Okay, so I've already installed. There's no issue with that. And after installing Tor, there's one more command that you need to run before executing the announcer, which is sudo service Tor start. You need to start the Tor service before executing the announcer. But if you forget about the service to start, there's no issue. The announcer will do that for you. Okay. I don't know why it's taking so long. I've already done that, so I will just simply. Oh, okay, okay, it's done. Maybe it's done. No, it's not. So let's wait for it. It will not take much time. So meanwhile, let's check if the Tor service is up and running. So the command for it like sudo service status all. So yeah, there is also a Tor service and there is plus, which means it's up and running. Okay. Yes, I don't need to install. Okay, so it's installed, and after the installation product, it's super simple. You need to just type unstable. Okay, you simply need to type like sudo announcer and then start. After typing this command, it will simply start your Tor server, Tor service if it's not started, and it will perform some change in the IP tables rules, and after that, it will say that you are under announcer tunnel, which is basically Tor. So let's check if our process has been performed some well. If there is no error, we will simply change, see that our IP address will be changed to someone Tor exit node. Okay. So let's first check about IP address. It is our public IP address, not our private. Okay. So you, as you already see that it has been changed. So let's who is 104 244 Okay, so by default, Tor change your IP address every 10 minutes. So you need to wait for 10 minutes to change your IP address. So, okay, so is like some information about our IP address. Okay, there's like the state and the country and the local region about, and there is the CIDR, which is the classless interdomain. It is some information about the IP address. Okay, so this is as you guys see, this is not my public IP address, and this is not my definitely this is not my location of living or the location of my current. So it will forward my all traffic, whether it's from browser, terminal, or any other service or any other application in my Kali Linux. It will be simply transferring all my traffic to through the Tor. And after the third node, after the exit node, it will simply reach the simple net or the free net if we are visiting some stuff on the clear net, or if we are visiting some stuff on which is on Tor, it will simply forward you to the C2 server. Okay, so I will simply just for stop that service. It is like simple command. You need to sudo announcer. You just simply need to type the stop. Okay, it will delete all the files where all the changes that made in the IP tables, and it will stop the service of Tor, and it will simply it will rechange everything that it has changed. Okay, so let's check if I am back to my normal IP address or not. Okay, I'm back to my normal IP address. Okay, this is good. There are plenty of other script that you can use, or plenty of scripts will give you like other features if you want to change your IP address after a specific time of time of duration, or if you want your Tor IP address want to be specific kind of location, you can also configure that. There are so many scripts available on GitHub. You can simply just Google about. Okay. So fact time. So fact is our like 70% of the people in community thinks that Tor is the ultimate weapon for anonymity. It is, but on the technical level, it's not, because there are so many factors that depends on to achieving the anonymity level. Like if we discuss about on general human level, if there is a guy who is in suit, black goggles, and everything is black, and it's like a full body cover up, like some spy movie, and we need to track that guy. So we don't have his fingerprint, we don't have his like iris scanner, so we don't have his DNA and his stuff. But there are still so many ways, so many possible ways that we can use to track. We can track his phone number, phone or any other electric device if he has, or like it's walking as the way he walks, or the way he talks, or we can simply follow him to around, like where he's moving or where he's going, to check where he is coming from, or what is the real location of that super cop. Okay, so super spy, yeah. So on digital level, there are so many other things that can be used to track you, whether you are on VPN, on proxy, or on Tor, or on any other services. There are plenty of another, like Tor. There are I2P, and there are some French network, which is uTorrent network, and there are plenty of the network if you want to study about the after the Tor. It's most famous is like I2P. Some people use Tor, and basically, if you are connecting to a Tor, your ISP, or you're the first origin request which say that I want to connect to the Tor, or with the entry node of the Tor. Your first request is like will be sent in the plain text or in the plain request. So anybody can know about that you are using the Tor, or you are going to use the Tor. Okay, so for bypassing this hack, people use like some VPN proxy, or even the I2P network. So the first request is like do not belong to you. So if someone is tracking to the first request of that Tor, so it does not lead back to you. So you are safe to your network, to your laptop, to your home. Okay, so we'll be discussing countermeasures or some tracking methods in the later on the slide. Let's move on, guys. Okay, so this is our third layer of anonymity, which is like third layer of anonymity, which is Honix. So what is Honix? Okay, so we have covered two topics, like VPN and Tor. They simply just provide us anonymity on the network level. Say they don't provide anonymity on the operating system level or the software level. If we have some bug on the software level, if we have some bug on the operating system level, simply we will be tracked on Tor, whether we are using some Tor IP2P or any other VPN, we will be simply gonna be getting tracked. So if you want to bypass those attacks or bypass those loopholes, so for that we use the Honix. Honix is like a machine that will provide you say virtual gateway and a it will be giving you option for the workstation, or it will be work as a like a virtual router. Okay, so I will be talking about the first request which you have to send to the Tor network, that I am the user and I'm willing to connect to your network. So the first request is generally in mostly it will be sent in like plain text. So when we have a virtual gateway in our machine, like in our virtual machine, it also uses the virtual machine, or you can install it on the machine or any other machine. So it will simply transfer to your request to your first gateway. So your first gateway is not your real router, it's not your real device, or it's not transferring your request to the ISP level. It's simply transferring your request to the VM, and VM is already on your system, and there is no attacker on your system already. Okay, so it's pretty secure over there. So there are plenty of reasons that Unix is secure with Tor, or if you want to achieve some more anonymity of level above the Tor, you can simply use the Unix. First, we will discuss about what is the Unix and what is the key points of the Unix. So Unix gives us the two operating system. First one is the gateway, which will act as a virtual router or the virtual gateway, and the second one is the workstation. Unix does provide a workstation for you guys if you want to perform some activity on the new generated, fresh generated virtual machine. So it doesn't have your some fingerprint or your old history or some your old activity, but you can definitely change your workstation to your main machine. Like if you are using Kali or Windows or any other machine, you can simply change your operating system gateway to the Unix gateway, and it will simply transfer your all traffic through the door. Okay, so let's discuss about workstation and gateway. So the first feature of the workstation that it used for all anonymous activity. So if you are like, it's like announcer on operating system level. Okay, but you don't have to install any other script on your system. You simply just go to boot your workstation machine and change its gateway to the Unix gateway, and it will simply transfer your old traffic to the Tor network. Okay, it's pretty easy and simple. And the second point is like minimizing the impact of the compromise. Okay, this is the most famous feature of the Unix. On the normal internet, you were visiting like any site on the plain internet, and there's like some malware on their sites, which is the service provider is not aware about, and you will simply go to visit their site, and malware copies into your system, and will be like compromise your whole system or the whole network or the whole LAN. So if you are using if you are using the Unix, so what will happen in there is like it will simply check every request. Gateway will simply check your every request, single request, whether it's secure or not, or whether it's safe or not, or if there is like other malicious activity. It will simply capture the activity, and it will limit, or it's like isolate that request into the gateway only. It will not give that virus or malware to your workstation or any other machine, and it will be simply creating the alert on you that there is some leakage of about your information, or your network has been breached. You simply just shut down your network and analyze it. But you need to configure all those things. By default, it will not analyze those traffic or create an alert, but there are feature available in the Unix. And the third one is like it uses a compartmentalization. Compartmentalization is like you are using Tor, and you are accessing Tor on Kali Linux machine. So all your traffic will simply just transfer to a Tor IP address. Okay, so if you want to use another machine which you want that it will also use the Tor IP address or the Tor relays or the Tor nodes. So what will happen is over there, like you can share the same IP address which you are using in the virtual machine A, or you can configure that it will not use the IP address of the virtual machine A. I want to need to create a new circuit for the virtual machine B. So I will simply So it will be simply creating the virtual machine B circuit. So it will not determine the anonymized A machine, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or any other. It will simply depend on your IP address, the class you are using. Okay, you can use either class 1, and you can connect as many devices as you want. Okay, and it's also depend on system specification and your network bandwidth also. So okay, the last feature of the workstation is like a different codified to set up different circuit for the different VM. You can also Unix. Yeah. So this is the main key feature of the workstation in the Unix. So let's discuss about something about Unix Gateway, which is the core inside the third of the Unix and the working of the attack. So in zero-day attack, it's when you have some vulnerability in your operating system level or some of your software or service, it will simply available on the internet or easily accessible on your internet if you have some misconfiguration to your router or to your LAN, or if you are connected to a modem rather than the router. So your zero day will be accessible to the internet for everyone. So what will happen there? It is creating a virtual router, virtual loopback address. So it will simply not connect you to the internet or the Tor directly. It has a barrier named gateway or the virtual router. It simply check the every single request that it's not malicious, or if it's malicious or it's not. Okay, so the second point is like helps in the isolation. Isolation means that if you want your VM to use different kind of IP address or to use different geolocation IP address, it can also provide you that feature. Okay. Third one is like mitigate exploits via known application flow. Generally, there are so many bugs in the web application or some any other application or the service you are using, and they have simply just if you are using the modem, not the router. In this case is belong to the if you are connected to the modem. So in modem, your host machine is simply just connected to the internet, and all your vulnerabilities and all your loopholes is directly listed on the internet, or you can simply just show them some things which I'm talking about. You can simply just search their IP address, and they have some misconfiguration on you and their router, or they are connected to the modem rather than the router. So their machine or their LAN is like listed on the internet, easily exploitable for anybody who knows what kind of attack they have to perform. And the last feature of the gateway is like protect the operating system and the application from the external or the internal threat. It's like a main feature of the gateway. If you are using the Tor, and you are using it on your LAN, your like home Wi-Fi or office Wi-Fi, so any other malicious person on your home Wi-Fi or your office Wi-Fi simply intercept your request or simply monitor your activity on the Tor. So for mitigate that, you need a extra gateway which will be connecting to your machine and the Tor. Okay. So what will happen there? If the first gateway is with the virtual, so the first node will be become the virtual gateway, and the second node will be on the Tor. Okay. So your the plain traffic will be only listed to the virtual gateway, which is your system, and there is no attacker on your system. And after reaching its when the request will reach to the router, it will be simply encrypted. It is not plain text anymore, and the malicious hacker on your LAN or the office or the public Wi-Fi you are using, you will be safe and secure over there. So it's like the main feature of the Unix. Okay, so the demo time for the Unix. So first we will discover about the web page of the Unix. I need to shut down it or pause it. Okay. Onyx is pretty famous. Even the Snowden and Cubes OS already told us about the Onyx security and told us to use the Onyx rather than some VPN or the any other Tor certified script on your system. Yeah. So to download Onyx, you need to visit their site onyx.org and simply go to the download section, and there are some section which is available for like Windows, Linux, Mac OS, CubeOS, KVM. Okay, so currently I'm using the Windows. If you are using Linux or any other operating system, you can simply visit there. So like I already told you guys that there are two operating system. One is the gateway and one is the workstation. But there is only listed like Honix one operating system. So if you download this, you will be get a 7-zip file or the archive file. You need to extract that, and after extracting, you will get a file like a VirtualBox file, and after configuring this file on the virtual machine, you will get your machine like workstation and the gateway. Okay. So if you are new to the Unix, you can simply use the GUI version, which is recommended for the beginner. If you are some expert level, you can use the Unix CLI version. Okay. Unix CLI version is like less resource hungry, and GUI will definitely use the more resources than in comparison of the CLI. So after downloading, you will simply get a configuration file which is named Unix XFC and the version. Okay, it is a OVA file. So when you click on the OVA file, it will simply create a prompt on the VirtualBox. You need to install VirtualBox on your system. And after scrolling in the prompt, you will see that there is the Unix gateway, and in bottom you will see that Unix workstation. Okay, so you can change the some configuration like processor number and the RAM which you want to give to the Unix gateway. I will recommend like 512 megabytes will be enough for the gateway, and one processor is will be enough if you are using it on 1 to 2 workstation. If you are using it on only one workstation, like 128 or 256 megabyte will be enough for you. So if you want to use the workstation of the Unix, it's not that bad. It's good if you want some like normal activity on the internet, some searching and some software to test, some script to test, some video to watch. It is good for that. But if you want some attack, perform some scanning and that, for that you need to configure Unix for your real virtual machine. Okay. So I will be configuring Unix with my Kali Linux machine, but you can definitely can configure your Unix gateway with the Unix workstation. So so the specification is on you guys what you want to do with that. So after that, you just simply import, and it will show you that there will be two Unix machine. I have four because I'm using two different kind of Unix gateway for some experimental thing. Uh, so this is like Unix gateway one and the Unix workstation one. This is like two and other two. So this is our main machine, Unix gateway and Unix workstation. So in Unix gateway, you simply just so the key point that you need to focus on it will like simply go on the settings on the Unix and the network. You will see that the Unix gateway have two adapter enables. Okay, so the 3 and 4 is like disable. So for adapter one is it will be need Unix will be needing the internet connection. So for that it will be use a network connection to the host machine, and it will be using an adapter 2 for sharing the gateway to the other machine on the VirtualBox. Okay, so it have created a NAT network which is like internal network named Unix. Okay, so you will be find this Unix network in your other virtual machines in the VirtualBox only. So we simply just run it, and running or while it's taking time to turn up, we will simply move to our workstation. So there is the workstation, and in workstation, I will show you the net settings. There is only one adapter is enabled. The other three adapters are disabled. Okay, don't worry about it. It will be start automatically in like 5 seconds. Yeah. So the adapter one is already configured on the network named UNIX. Okay. So if you are connecting your any other virtual machine on your UNIX gateway, so you need to change their network interface to the internal network and named UNIX. Okay. By default, it will be like a NAT or the bridge. You just need to change the internal network. I'll show you just in a moment. So I will be configuring it with my Kali Linux machine, and I will show you it in the network, and there is like I already configure it to the internal network. Okay, named Unix. When you simply just select net, it will change into a net network, and when you simply connect to the internal network, it will automatically detect the internal network available. If you have multiple internal network, then you can select it here. Okay, so I'll use the internal network Unix and simply just okay. And after that, I need to run my workstation or my Kali machine. Okay. So the escape key in the Oracle VirtualBox is like right control if your mouse is stuck in the virtual machine. So the gateway will take some time to boot up. It will be depending on your system specification or the processing power you have given to the gateway. Okay. Okay. While it's loading, we'll simply cover up the settings in the workstation. So in your workstation machine or the any other machine you are trying to connect to the Unix gateway, you simply just need to go to the network manager or the network settings. It says it's connected, okay, but it's not because the gateway is not up and running. And for that, we need to go to the wired settings. Okay, in wired setting, go to the settings. It will be simply asking you the IP address and some other configuration for it. So okay, so I think I have given like less amount of RAM to the Unix gateway. That's why it's taking so much time. So for your workstation, you need to go to the IPv4, and you need to click on the manuals. Okay. So in manual, you need a IP address, you need a net mask, which is the subnet, and then the gateway. Gateway will be the IP address of the Unix gateway. Okay, and then you have to configure the DNS. I will tell you why you need to configure the DNS in the later slides. Okay. DNS is also will be the IP address of the gateway. Okay. So there is also some major security threats if you don't change the DNS to your Unix gateway. In the VPNs, they don't. They just change their IP address. They don't change your fingerprinting, and they just don't change your DNS. So I will tell you some sites that will help you to detect or monitor your fingerprints and some leakage, some data that you are leaking on the internet. It's good to check your fingerprint that what is the website, what is the server saying about you, and what the information server is getting about you. So you can change it or spoof it while becoming anonymous or achieving the anonymity. Okay, okay. Let's wait for a minute if it's get started. Okay, so there are some questions here. Oh yeah, I will be taking those questions definitely, like in the end of the slides. But now I have some times to spare. Let's start. Hi, hi. What is not available? Okay, okay. Proton has got free version too. Yeah, yeah. It's like for some limited time of amount only. Like you need to pay some. You need to give your credit card information or your debit card information to them. And after the free duration, you need to cancel the subscription, or otherwise they will just simply charge you. Any free VPN, you can use the tunnel bear, and you can simply just tweet about the tunnel bear by using its specific tweet, and they will simply just give you the 1 GB of free tunnel bear amount bandwidth. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. There are so like there is like one is the UFO, and there are so many free VPN if you want to use, but they don't provide this much of anonymity. There is like one website called kproxy.com. You don't need to install any VPN on your system. If you want to use some sites that are blocked in your region, you can simply just go to the kproxy.com and enter the site you want to visit, and it will be simply open in your browser, so you don't need to configure any other. Okay. uh, TUXLER weapon. So this is not that good, but it's like kind of new in the field. So if you are using some new product, I will recommend you guys. You need to perform some test on it. Okay, okay. It's asking me about the username and the password. So for the username or for the UNIX Gateway is user, and the password is change me. If the prompt is popped up for you guys, and the password of the UNIX gateway is change me because they are saying you that change the default password. It is heavily recommended, you guys. Okay, how to configure port forward? If you want to configure port forward, you have to access your router admin page, or if you are talking about the port forward on the local machine, they got setting on the network adapter. You have to visit their advanced section. Is some recording this? I need recording and I'm new to hacking. Yeah, it's like uploading to YouTube. You will get the full video on there if you want to watch it, or like watch it in the slow mo. Okay, so the difference between IP address and the subnet mask and the gateway address is like IP address is your name, and subnet mask is kind of your home address, and gateway is like your society's gate, where you will be passing from the gateway, and you will be reaching like to the whole world. So if someone is want to track you, they want to know about your IP address only. So if you are using IPv4, as you know, all you guys know that IPv4 is it's already out of scope. The total number of IPv4 is like 4.2 billion, and all of them are being used. So they are just using the subnetting to just run the internet. So that's why we introduced the concept of the subnet mask. Subnet mask define you that where your traffic is originated from, or like from IP address you can pinpoint the location, but from the subnet mask you can pinpoint the ISP, from what ISP it's coming from. Okay, so after finding the ISP, you can simply give them that this is the IP address I need to find, and they will simply just give you to the address of the gateway. And gateway of the IP address is like your router IP address, your router public IP address, and from there they will simply reach you to your home. Okay, so the next question is secure more than Tor. What is secure more than Tor? VPN proxy. VPN and proxy is not more than secure, because like VPN and proxy is like other thing, and the Tor is like another thing. You can compare I2P, Friends Network, and Tor. Yeah, Tor is like much secure rather than I2P and Friends Network, because it have large amount of nodes. I2P and friend networks don't have the large amount of nodes, so that's why they are less famous and less usable. You guys, please don't do the mistake that I have done. I've given so much less amount of the RAM. Okay, how can we analyze VPN traffic? There are plenty of way to analyze the VPN traffic. From there, you will simply get the IP address of the origin of the request and the server if you are intercepting between the client and the server, and if you are intercepting between the server to the internet, you will clearly simply see the DNS record and some other shit. But the if the VPN's software is not configured on the DNS level, then you can also see the what sites they are requesting or what site they are using. It's secure more than Tor. What's secure more than Tor? Okay. Can you suggest some tools or some specific things to look in the logs VoIP call with bouncing IP? Please explain. Yeah, with for the bouncing IP, it's okay. So if you are want to monitor some things or you want to track some things, so the first process is like you need to collect as more as logs you can, so you can pinpoint or you can predict the operation or predict the user like in most possible ways. Okay, if you have less traffic, you can just probability of the request and the traffic analysis will be less, and if you have some more traffic, you can pinpoint the location. So the Unix is a gateway is up and running. It will be prompt a window which will be saying that if you want to connect to the Tor or not, but it's for some problem it's not showing me. If it's not showing for you guys, you can simply just go to their menu and from there you can promote that window. Okay, so this is the prompt I'm talking about, an on connection wizard. Just simply left click. Do K-proxy save the logs? Yes, definitely. This is their business. That's how they earn. K-proxy save the logs. How can we detect if our DNS is compromised? Yeah, I will tell you and I will share some resources with you guys. If you want to test your VPN or the Tor connection or the proxy connection. For DNS, there is a site named dnsleaktest.com. You can go there and check if your VPN or any other service is leaking your DNS. How to install Unix in VMware? Yes, you can install the Unix in VMware, but it's not that compatible. You have to install in the virtual machine, Oracle virtual machine. It's like made for the virtual machine because both of the projects are open source. That's why they support each other's. VMware is kind of like paid, but you can configure that into the VMware. You can simply just Google. So it's asking me about the password. Password is change me. Change me. It's super slow because of my RAM. Okay, so we have some time to spare. If you guys have some question, you can ask me in the chat section. So I will tell you the process. What will be happen after that? It will simply connect Unix gateway to the Tor, and after connecting to the Tor, we will simply open the terminal in the Unix, and we'll see the IP address of the Unix gateway machine. and the net mask, which is the subnet, and just only two things. And after getting these two things, okay. So the IP address is like 10.154.154.10. So you can use IP address 10 to 253. It's depend on you what you want to use. I will recommend you guys to use 10.15, 10 to 15, and the net must will be like 255 something or something. You need to check what is the specific gateway networks, and for the gateway you need to type the IP address of the Unix machine. Okay, so this is the prompt I am talking about. If you want to connect, configure, okay. To connect, it will simply connect to you to the Tor and configure. If the Tor connection is blocked on your ISP level, you can simply configure and you can specify a new bridge IP address over there. Or if you don't want to install, enable Tor, so you can disable. Why we need to disable? We need the Tor. That's why we install the Unix. So you simply just connect next, and it will be like process our request, and it will be connected to the Tor. Okay. While it's connected, other things in between. You just simply need to type sudo space ifconfig. Okay, so the spelling in the config f is missing. So Unix will create two virtual network Windows to get the internet or the Tor service, and the other one is to connect to the other virtual machine. Okay, so we need the password is changuni. I think I mistyped it. Okay, so there's like there's two virtual adapter here. One is ETH0 and the other one is ETH1. Okay. So the IP address of the ETH0 is like 10.0.2.15. You don't have to worry about this. You need to focus on this ETH1. It's like there is the IP address of the Unix gateway. It's 152.152. It's not 154. And there's the net mask, which is 255.255.192.0. Okay. Let's make it 11. And the gateway is same of the IP address of the Unix gateway, which is 10. Okay, 192. It's 192, not 190. Okay. And in DNS, simply paste the IP address of the Unix machine, ETH1, and after that, you just simply need to apply. Okay. So this is the only configuration you need to do in the Unix or your workstation machine. After that, it will simply connect to the Tor, and your workstation is ready to go for the Unix and the Tor get. Okay, mine is not working. Your will be working. Yeah, this is now okay. Whatever. So it's taking some time. We'll wait for it, and we'll discuss about this in after the end of the slide. Let's jump to the slides now. Okay. So is it enough? Basically, if you discuss about anonymity, it depends on the who is tracking you. So if some third-party service like a normal type of service is tracking you, VPN is more than enough. So if some kind of group is tracking you, Tor is also more than enough. Or if some illegal person are trying to track you, Tor is good and more than enough. But if the nation state is trying to track you, so Tor will be also not more than enough, because in Tor there are so many ways which will be lead you to de-anonymize you. So in that case, our layer 4 comes in. It will simply create extra barrier for your public IP address. So the main reason is so for the main weak point of view is like your public IP address. So what if you don't do that type of attack, scanning, or whatever you want to do from your home address? You simply just go on the coffee shop or Starbucks and some other things, and simply use their network to perform the attack. So this is what Tails comes in. Tails is like a live bootable system. It will simply install in a bootable drive, in pen drive or in any other medium, and it will be simply install a you have to plug in to the any system, and it will simply open up the Tails OS operating system, and from there you can do anything on the Tor whatever you want to do. You don't have to set up Tor, you don't have to install some script. It will also start the Tor for you, install the Tor for you. It's like already in there. Okay, so you simply just need to plug and the login, and you can do whatever you want on the network. Okay, so the time is we have already crossed our time. So I need some fast forward effects. So for Tails, you can go to the websites. Tails is famous one. Tails OS. You can configure Tails in many ways. I don't recommend you using the Tails in the VM or virtual. It's not made for them. It's made to you have to use in the pen drive or in the portable environment. So you can go any other network and simply plug in there on their system, not on yours. You just simply on the system available on the library or the system available on the school or any other publicly available system, and simply just plug your pen drive and do your work. Okay. So Tails is like most frequently changing operating system. There are so many updates. It's like every update, like every month there is an update for the Tails, because there are so many attack vectors in Tails that they need to update on the regular basis. So it is asking about what operating system are you installing from. You can simply just select any one, Windows or Linux, or it doesn't matter, because we are not installing on the operating system. You can simply use this, burn the Tails on the DVD or the Tails on the virtual machine. Okay. It's like a 1.5 gigabyte of size in. So you can simply download it, and you can boot in into the any removable device. So it will jump you to the medium or the some kind of tutorial to how to configure Tails in the system and how to boot that kind of thing. But if you don't want to do that, I will recommend you just simply go through those step, and then after next you will simply get your Tails operating system. Okay. Yeah. I will be giving you the some overview of the Tails, but we don't have some time for this because we have Cubes OS to also cover. So for like Cubes OS, Though what we have discovered so far is like a wrap up in a machine, and it will just simply name the machine to the CubeSource. Okay, so CubeSource have all the features of the VPN, proxy, Tors, and the UNIX compartmentalization, isolation, and so many other things are there in the CubeSource. So CubeSource, it's also don't work on the VMware or the virtual machine. It's like a host operating system. You need to install on your hardware, on not on your virtualization software. So what Cubes does is like Cubes will it will simply create so many virtual machine like if your file manager if file manager is simply get hacked or any other thing happen to this, so it will not get access to your browser or your other type of software. Okay, but in normal operating system, if the attacker breaks in your system, it will simply get access to all over things. But in the cube source, there is virtualization for your every single process. For browser, there is a virtualization. For file manager, there is virtualization. For your other kind of work, for your work kind of work, for your home kind of work, for your personal kind of work, there is virtual machine for your every kind of work, which is different from each other, which are not accessible to each other. And it will be come in like in single inch or 15.6 screen. It is also good, best performance. It will not lag in your system, but it has a issue. It will not run on your hardware. It has some specification that that your hardware have need to follow to run the CubeOS on your system. So you can check that while going on their site, which is CubeOS. You can simply Google that, and they have some devices that they have tested every single feature of the cubes, and it's working fine. It's like a ThinkPad X1 Carbon fifth generation and some ThinkPad X230, which they recommend to use. Okay, so here are the some tips and tricks which I'm talking about you. Like if you want to test your VPN, if you want to test your proxy, if you want to test your Tor connection, if you want to test what the fingerprinting you are generating, what the history you have, what the kind of leakage you are making while you are on any other browser or any other network, you can simply use those these side. They will simply tell you what information you are leaking, what information your router are leaking, what misconfiguration you have in your network. Okay, so these all of them will be leading you to the your information leaking. In the last, it's like onion.ws. It will help you to access any .onion URL, which is only accessible on the Tor. So if you don't have Tor and you want to access .onion URL, you can simply paste .ws after the onion, and it will simply create open your URL in your Chrome, Mozilla, or in your plain internet. Okay, so it will not needed Tor browser or any other connection. It will simply just open. Okay, so there are so many extension for that. You can simply Google that, and you can gather some more information about it. So let's discuss about some real life of scenario, some real life hacks. Like there are there are some guys who is like really good in anonymity, but they still got caught. I will be discussing what are the reasons how they got caught, and I will be telling you the reason behind that. Just give me a minute. So you guys already heard about some Anonymous and Rulesec. Okay, so there is a group called Anonymous, which is like activist on the internet, some first one generation kind of. So the core group of the Anonymous want to do some other kind of work. So they have created other group called Lulsec. Okay, so got the guy in head. So from Lulsec, they started doing some fun work and some work that they need to perform on their personal life. Yeah. So on Lulsec, they have created the forum to communicate to other guys, and over there they think that it's their forum. It's easily secure, and they think that's they are totally okay with their. But on their forum, it's like they are the most wanted in the cyberspace. They have working on the anonymous level, and they have created their own other group called lulsec. So the feds are wanting them like most wanted in the cyberspace list. So if there are some forum on the dark web, deep web, then it's definite that feds will be there, whether it's direct way or the indirect way. So the feds were in their forums, and they were asking some personal question about them. So, and some hackers on the LulzSec, they were easily giving the answer. Feds just ask about what operating system you are using. They simply just tell them that we are using this type of operating system. What system you use? We are using this type of operating system. What neighborhood do you live? It's okay for your anonymous kind of activity. They just simply explain what kind of neighborhood they have, and from there, by creating so many logs and so many filters, they simply just capture a guy named Sabu. He's the head of the Lulsec member, and after capturing him, Fed just he just turned into an informer to the feds, and because of the he is the leader of the Lulsec, and all of the member of the Lulsec is the core member of the anonymous group. So that's how the Lulsec got down, and that's the main reason behind the anonymous went down. Anonymous is still active, but not that much. That it's active like in 2012 to 14, like okay. And the second case is like Silk Road. Silk Road is the dark marketplace market. It's like most famous market in the world. After that, there are so many marketplaces, but when that Silk Road is active, it's the most famous market on the Silk Road. You can get anything on the Silk Road. So the founder of the Silk Road is this guy. This name is Death Pirate Robert. I don't know his real name, but you can Google who's the inventor of the Silk Road. You will get them. He's kind of developer, not the full-time developer. It's like it's hobbies like developing some websites and so he simply just create a marketplace on the dark web, and while the community grows, while this Silk Road grows, it's simply adding the new feature every day or the every week, and if he have some question, it's simply ask on the plain text, like on Stack Overflow or some any other site. And one day he simply asked a very specific question which is related to the Silk Road, and he simply forgot to remove his mail from that query. Okay, so while as I told you in cyberspace, these guys are the most wanted. You can check the most wanted cyber list on the FBI and the CIA websites. Even India also have the most wanted cyberspace. Always tracking like what happened in the Tor, what happened on the plain text on basis of the Tor. They simply contact him and starting monitoring. Okay. So while monitoring me, one day he's going to the its library and using a system, and while he's using a system, this Fed simply grab him, and his system is still on. And from there, he found out that he is the founder of the Silk Road, and that's how he ended up to court. Okay, so currently he's like on bail, or some guys say that he is on jail like for his whole life, but we don't know about what's the real matter. So okay, this is the reason that we need the layer of the anonymity. Okay, so we don't Tor doesn't say that we will provide you the 100% of anonymity. You will be anonymous, like untraceable if you use the Tor or the I2P or the any other services. They say that it will be difficult to track you if you use the Tor. Okay, it will give you some time limit, but
So guys, we are facing a net issue. He's just coming back in 2 minutes.
Please don't go anywhere. Speaker is coming to my. Please, guys, be patient. Speaker is coming in 1 minute.
Hello. So guys, my internet connection got broke, so that's why I got disconnected. So if you have any connection, maybe the last chat will be raised. So if you have any other question, you can ask me here. I'm here for your questions.
Hello, Vishal.
Hello.
Yes, Gaurav Singh here, and I have some question about your, today's session. Uh, first of all, I, first of all, I like the session no, of today.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you
and
very much.
and I have some very basic question about this. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
participants should know about that also. That's why I'm asking this
Uh,
question.
okay. Sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat it?
My first question is what will make difference between VPN and proxy? Okay, so VPN and proxy are doing the same work. Okay, but
Yeah, yeah.
what's the major difference between VPN and proxy? Why they
Okay.
are just different with each other?
Okay. So first reason is like proxy is like not good for the majority of the people. If you have set up a proxy, then there is only limited amount of people that can connect to the proxy. Okay. So it is easy to
I can't share you. I think network issues are there from the speaker side. Sure, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think he is having a net issue and we have to end this session.
I think he's getting some network issues over there. We should wait.
So if you are using the VPN, there will be 100 people. But if you are using the proxy, so the in proxy the number will be like lesser than the VPN. So this is the main reason. But the technical reason is like VPN have encryption. VPN have some safe models, but in proxy, the proxy is free and everybody there is generally not the encryption. And if there is encryption, this is not that good as the VPN, and there are some plenty of reason rather than those.
Okay, I got you. Uh, can you tell me about which kind of protocols VPN are used in their service?
Okay, so the most famous is SHA-256, and they use on the HTTPS, but you can still modify the protocol or the encryption level or the encryption bit of what you want to use. If you have some a good VPN connection or the good provider of the VPN connection.
Okay. So, uh, uh, cryptocurrency will help us to be known on doing online transaction things. So, if yes, then how?
Basically, this is the most asked question. If you are performing a transaction using cryptocurrency, it is secure if it's supported by the crypto exchange. Okay, it's like you are using Tor, but the Tor node is vulnerable. Okay, Tor encryption is good, but the Tor it's set up on the node it's set up on, it's vulnerable. So it depend on the nodes also. It depend on the what type of exchange service you are using. There are so many attacks that happen on the exchange service, but there is nothing wrong with the cryptocurrency. Okay, so your second question was.
Yes, and most frequently asked question is Tor connection is completely secure? If yes, then how? And if no, then what kind of reasons are there to not secure completely?
Okay, so the main reason behind the Tor connection is not secure because the first request, while you open the Tor, it will simply send a request to the Tor node that I am an user and I want to connect to the Tor network. So that request is going to the network in plane. Okay, so if there is like a monitoring, they will be notified that there is a user connecting to the Tor, but they will be not aware about what he is visiting or what he is doing on the Tor. Okay, but he will be
I think he's again out from the session.
Yeah.
No, no, he's right.
So from there you can get tracked. So to mitigate that, you need to use a VPN and then Tor, or you can use first proxy and then Tor. So they can trace back to your origin location.
Okay. And one more question.
Yeah.
Uh, can you explain I2P service which is you are using on Anon server?
Basically, Anon service using the Tor nodes only. It not using the I2P. I2P is like completely other type of network. It's like Airtel and Jio. But it's both of them connected to the internet, so we can call to the Airtel user from the Jio user. There are some gateways between the I2P and the Tor, but they are both of the same different kind of network. If you are using I2P in like announcer, by default use Tor, but you can also configure to use it to the I2P. It will be also help you, but it will be like uh, hello, I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So any other question?
Uh, uh, can you explain I2P service completely how it works?
Basically, I2P is similar to the Tor. Okay, so it any other network is like similar to any other network. They have some nodes, they have some command and control center, and they have some clients. But the Tor is have the volunteer number of 4,000 plus, so that's why Tor is reliable. But I2P they don't have this much amount of nodes, so that's why it's not secure. Okay, that's why it's less. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if you configure I2P by your own or network, so it's like completely safe like Tor. So if we were talk about the working of I2P, I2P is based on Tor, but it have some pretty much comparison of Tor, but it use a principle which is different than Tor. It's like they are using Tor, but they have some other configuration which are not public yet. So we can't properly tell that I2P using this much of technology, or that's how it's work, because the Tor is like open source. It's publicly available by the government, so everybody is know about that. There are three nodes to the client and three nodes to the server. But the I2P is completely open source. Hello.
Hello. We can hear
My
you.
okay, so my internet connection getting broke by one after one. My Wi-Fi is down and Jio is down. Currently, I'm with it, so this will not get down.
Okay, okay, no issues. Continue fast.
Okay. So I2P is like a node their public their information, so we cannot specifically tell about that how the I2Ps work.
So, and my last question is, if you know about the Utopia project, then can you share us what is Utopia project, P2P?